So, like I said, my name is Hope, and I'll be hosting this session. So, it's lovely to have you guys today. It's also lovely to have our speaker, Wangari Macharia, with us. So, today we'll be looking at navigating a new workspace. And with us, we have Wangari Macharia to take us through that. So, I'll just introduce her, then give her the floor. So Wangari is a security operations analyst at Seriano Limited. In her day-to-day career life, she does security monitoring, threat assessments, and mitigations in the Security Operations Center. She's also working on a cybersecurity policy. So that is Wangari. She'll tell us more about herself, the places she's worked, how she landed in cybersecurity, and how she's navigating the new workplace. So thank you so much, Wangari, for agreeing to do this session, and welcome.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So as you heard, my name is Wangari Macharia. I am a SOC analyst at Seriano, and I will be taking you through today's topic. So I think a brief introduction would be, this is my first cybersecurity job. I started it last year in July. However, it was not my first job. My first job was in 2014. I was working in advertising. I was 23. Yeah, that was my first job. I was working in advertising, and then after that job, I left and went to work at Scanad, which was one of the biggest advertising agencies in the country at the time. And after Scanad, I freelanced for a bit. Then I went back to school. So when I went back to school, I went to USIU and picked computer science as my course and cybersecurity as my concentration. I finished my coursework last year and got this job as an internship. And after 6 months, I was confirmed. And that was in January. So since January, I've been permanently employed here as a SOC analyst at Seriano. That is my hope. Is there? Do you want to say something, or should I just share my presentation?
No, you can go ahead and share your presentation. So at the end, we can have questions and maybe comments.
As I do that, I wanted to ask a question because I didn't really get the general profile of the people in the meeting. Is it people who are starting work? Is it people who worked before? Because I know sometimes Bashuja has a mix of both. Would you be able to know?
Yes. So sorry about that. I didn't give you a brief on that. So yes, most of the people here are either in internships or just started work. We also have people in their fourth years at university and people transitioning. Basically, they've been working in other sectors and now transitioning to the cybersecurity. Sorry. So the age group is from 18 to 35. That is the age group here. So yes.
Okay. Thank you. So let me just share my slide.
Sorry.
Can you see my screen?
If your mic is open, kindly mute your mic.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. So it's a bit noisy. So we are going to talk about how to navigate a new workplace. I'll start with a small introduction. So stepping into a new job can be both exciting and intimidating. You're happy, you're done with uni, but then it's a change in the environment and it's new people, new place, new culture, new routine, it's not classes anymore. So that can be intimidating, but you're also excited because whatever you are learning in class, you finally get to put it in practice. So whether it's your first job or you have worked elsewhere before, it's important that you create a good impression. There will be unspoken, and they won't tell you, but at the back of your mind, you know that your new colleagues are looking at you. They want to see what is this new person bringing to us, or what is their contribution. So it's good that you embrace this with a plan. You go in with a plan. You just don't go, just don't start. So, and personally, I'll say that when I was starting my first job, I didn't have a plan. However, when I was starting this current role, at least I'd grown a bit more. So I was in a position to know that I could have a plan when I'm starting a new job. So this transition was a bit easier for me. So the first step will be open to learning. One of the mistakes that someone can do is you come out of uni and you know you are top of your class, you are good at doing all the exercises in class, you are good at hacking, for example, and then you join a new workplace and you can't wait to show these people what you know. But then each workplace is unique and there's always something to learn from everyone. And not in the workplace, I believe that everyone outside can teach you something. So, and more so in the workplace, because most of the time you guys are working towards a similar goal and you have similar knowledges. So it's good to know to always be ready to learn something from everyone. You do this by asking questions and seeking help. This ensures that you learn faster and you settle in better. So, for example, when I joined Seriano and I had never worked with a SIM before. A SIM is the tool we use to monitor event logs for threats. So when you're threat hunting, it's the SIM that collects all the events from the clients. Then you can go through them and they'll tell you what the status is. And the SIM being a new tool was very intimidating. You know, you're taught today, oh, this is where you go when you want to retrieve a report. You come back in the morning the next day and you can't remember all the steps. You get to step 2 and you're stuck. And what helped me a lot was we joined as 5 interns. So what I would do is I just ask the person next to me, when I want to do this, what is the next step? And most of the time you find that people are willing to help you, people are willing to assist you, to hold your hand and guide you. So don't shy away from asking for help. It doesn't make you look stupid. You're new. I mean, there's no one who is born knowing all everything. So don't shy away from asking questions. It's not easy, I know, but it's the quicker you ask questions, the quicker you settle in, right? And also remaining teachable. As much as even if you settle in and you've taught all the things, but then uh, there's a bit of noise. Sorry, remaining teachable is as much as you get in and you feel like you're a month in, you're 2 months in, you've learned the systems, you're comfortable. Don't close yourself off to learning opportunities. Anytime you hear there's a training, volunteer for it. Volunteer to be in the training. Volunteer to listen. Volunteer to work on new things. Collaborate in new things, and that's the way you learn. And so that the next time they bring in someone new and they tell you, "Would you please train this person?" then you'd be in a much more comfortable position to do it. Sorry. Um, then set clear goals. Sorry. Set clear goals. Uh, when you're employed for a certain position, for example, I was employed as a SOC analyst, right? Find out from your employer what success means for your new role. So don't just leave it at where your JD, what your job description says. Find out, like, from that job description, what would your employer look like? If one sentence, what would they be happy with if it happened? Go ask them, ask your line manager, ask your colleagues, ask your CEO, your CEO, whatever, whoever it is that you're comfortable with. Just ask them what success means. That way, you're able to tailor your goals. towards what that position, what is needed in that position. For example, in my position as a stock analyst, there's a few success points for us. For example, I have to do VAPTs, I have to report to clients, I have to be client service to some clients. So for those ones, how do you plan? Because, for example, my day to day is working with the client, but then I have at the end of the year when I'm doing my review, they'll ask me how many VAPTs did you do? There is no time out of my schedule that is carved out for VAPTs per se. My work is you come in the morning, you do whatever the client is done for the day, and then that's it. But then you have to do the VAPTs, right? So what you do, rather what we do here, what I do is I will decide, okay, this client has a VAPT say in January. Then in January, I'll plan my days in such a way that I have a few days where I get for the project, and then I can work on the same VAPT. In that way, then I'm not very overwhelmed because I'll not be doing my day-to-day work. I'll have set aside time to focus on that project so that again you can do it well. So figure out what the goal is, and then ensure that these goals also fit with your long-term career goals. For example, I want to work in cyber policy in the future. So as a stock analyst, there's areas where my job kind of overlaps with the policies because again, as I said, I work with the clients, but also on the side for the stock analyst, I also ensure that the policies and all the like, for example, SLAs. If we have decided with the client what the SLA is, it's my it's my responsibility to implement those SLAs. But as much if I want to work towards doing cyber policy in the future, then I have to also carve out, make sure that the goals, whatever I'm working on, ties to that. If I work, for example, if I'm working at the SOC, when I start working properly in cyber policy, my SOC knowledge is going to tie into that because it's going to inform because the work we do at the SOC is the exact nitty-gritties of how the policies are fulfilled. So once I start working in cyber policy, I'll have very, very in-depth knowledge of what actual policies should be implemented for SOC services. Um, and on top of that, I also help the policy department in the company to do their policy stuff. Again, just to grow my knowledge and also just to be all rounded in this. So don't don't wait until you want to pivot for you to start pivoting because then at that point you waste a lot of time. So try tie in whatever you do every day with what you want to do 5 years from now, 10 years from now, because then that's what will feed into that. The third one is stop talking about your old job and how you handle things. This sounds a bit funny, but I feel like if someone came to your house, oh, let me just plug this in. Uh, Sorry.
Let's give her a few minutes to sort her device out.
I am so sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Really sorry about that. Forgot to
Okay.
plug in my laptop. So we will just continue with the third one. And I was giving an example of where if you have if you have a new person within your midst and they're there to stay. They've come, they've agreed that they're there to stay. But then they keep reminding you about, oh, my old job was like this, and at my old job we used to do things like this. It can be a bit off-putting because your new colleagues might start feeling like you really don't like being there, and you're the one who applied for the job, you accepted the job. It's okay to not talk about your old job unless it's benefiting your new job. For example, if you're struggling with tackling a problem as a team, and at your old job you had the mechanism of doing it, you could suggest, at my old job we used to do this like this. But then not like, oh, at my old job we didn't used to work on Fridays, or at my old job we only used to eat this. So it's not beneficial. So just share what is beneficial and just leave the rest out of it, because then that also slows down how you gel with the rest and how you adapt into the new company culture. Because every company has its culture, and once you get in, it's upon you to just learn what the culture is and do your best to integrate with the environment. The fourth one will be build healthy relationships with your colleagues. And this is very, very important because at the end of the day, you can't work in a vacuum. You've come to join a new team, and the least you can do is have a good relationship with your colleagues. I'm not saying be best friends, I'm not saying hang out every time, but create a healthy relationship where you're comfortable asking, especially comfortable asking for help. Because it's very, I feel like it's easier for human beings to easier to offer help than ask for help because most people don't want to come off as vulnerable. So you need to create healthy relationships where you'll feel comfortable asking for help. And you can do this by asking for help, right? You start with that, like as we said in point one, ask for help. And then you can also offer to help. So if you're not just taking, sometimes you're giving. Offer to help. You can help when people are brainstorming, when people are sharing ideas. If someone is stuck and it's something that you know how to do, don't just keep it to yourself. Just offer to help. This also helps at least you can learn because this is interacting with your colleagues. You will learn the company culture through this. And I don't know if I can insist this enough. Ask for help. It's very overwhelming, especially when you're learning new systems, and then especially if you're just leaving uni and you're going to start your new job, you've never been employed anywhere before. So there's especially the feeling of just starting work. It's not easy to it's a lot of responsibility, number one, but then you're also learning a lot of new technologies. There's this system here, there's that other system, there's that other system. Then you're also learning how to manage people and how to work with people, and you're also learning how you're learning yourself and what you portray when you're in group settings, in a place of work. So it's very important that you ask for help in all these things. Do not just if you have a rapport with someone, that's great, but don't also just be asking for help from one person. So if you're working in a team, just learn how to integrate, and not just your team, like your technical team. You can even just create a good relationship, say with your with your tea lady, with your receptionist, with these are still people who can really come in handy. And I'll even tell you a secret. Like those are the people who will really help you at the office. Like you don't, not that you don't be on their bad side, but if you're on their good side, it helps make life so much easier in the office. This is away from work because also the office is not just work, work, work. There will still be other facets of the work environment that you need to be okay with. So just be kind to everyone. Treat everyone like you can learn something from them because you could. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be your tea lady. She can teach you something. It could be the delivery person. It could be your receptionist. Because and this is something I've noted with a lot of tech people, we fall in the danger of thinking that we are better than everyone because we understand tech, we know a lot, and we tech people, to be very honest, all around the world tend to look down on people. So away from your team because it could be a bit easier for you to respect your team members because you feel like they're your peers. But I say also extend this to everyone else in your office. It doesn't matter if it's the receptionist, it doesn't matter. No one is below you. Everyone there is your colleague. Treat them equally, treat them well, treat them kindly, and it will come back to you. I think I think that's a very important thing to learn. And lastly, we will always seek feedback. And this is something we really practice at my workplace. When I joined, we had a 3 month assessment where you sit with your line manager and you go through your work and are you meeting your KPIs? Are you meeting your goals? Are you still in tandem with what the JD requires of you? So you do every 3 months you
Waandishi wa
have.
habari, kuna changamoto nyingi. Saa zingine unapata kwamba unapata mwandishi wa habari anapeleka kotini, serikali haitaki kuzungumza na sisi ambao tunawakilisha waandishi wa habari, tunatuma wanasheria kule kuona vile.
Sorry about that. Uh, So if you go to a workplace that does not have that implemented, that system of feedback implemented, it's okay for you to ask for it for yourself because at the end of the day, you also have to track your own growth. If you work at a company where it's annual review and then that's it, just go talk to your line manager or your colleagues. Just every so often ask someone to sit down with you and go through all the goals and all the KPIs with you, and then they can honestly tell you where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, where you're kind of failing, what you can improve on, what you're doing well and should continue doing that and improving on. You can ask for that yourself. I do not think there's a line manager who would say, no, I'm not sitting with you to look at this because I mean, they would also be interested in seeing you want to improve yourself and be a stronger member of the team. So asking for help also saves you time and helps you continually work on yourself because if you're given feedback every 3 months, you're improving every 3 months. But then if you're not given feedback for 12 months and then you go for an annual review and someone is telling you, oh, in Q1 you did this mistake and then no one, corrected you, you'll feel bad because why didn't anyone? If you would have known, you would have corrected it then. Because you can start a mistake in Q1 and continue with it up to Q4 without knowing that you could really improve on it. And this also goes with asking for help. Do not wait until the review period so that people can tell you, okay, you're not meeting your KPIs, you're not doing this. Ask every so often, implement it yourself. If it's not with line managers, ask colleagues and also sit and assess yourself honestly. Am I doing the best I can? Am I the goals I set when I joined this position? Am I doing the things necessary to meet this? Because also being honest with yourself helps. Sometimes you don't want to. Someone said the journey inside is a very difficult journey. So sometimes people don't want to go and assess themselves and acknowledge where they are failing. So assess yourself, but also let your colleagues assess you. That really helps save time. And there's a quote here by William H. McRaven, which says, "You can't change the world alone. You will need some help, and to truly get from your starting point to your destination, it takes friends, colleagues, and the goodwill of strangers, and a strong coxswains to guide them." So again, it goes back to asking for help. Let people hold your hand. You don't know everything. No one knows everything. The only way to move forward is if we do this together. Yeah, so I think I'm done with that, and I'll take any questions.
Any questions, comments? So I can just take a moment for those who got in late to touch on what Wangari has gone through. So she's talked about navigating a new workspace, the do's and the don'ts, and I think they've been quite valid and quite practical. And in my take, they don't just apply for new workplace. You can start them even if you've been in a workplace for some time. So be open to learning. That's quite relevant, even if you've been in a place for a year. If you've been looking down on those colleagues and you're not open to learning, it can start now. So be open to learning. Then the fact that each workplace is unique, as much as you may be going to the same role in another organization, the work style is very different. The office culture may be also very different. You may be moving from a SOC analyst in this company to another SOC analyst in another company, and still a lot may not be going the way you used to. So always be open to learning about work cultures, and don't close yourself to learning opportunities. Those are my take homes. Then set clear goals. I don't know if people do this. This is a new one for me. Setting clear goals when you're going into a new workplace. This is very new and very nice. So know what you want from that organization. See how it aligns with your career goals. Make sure you're giving your best and also getting the best from where you are. Then stop talking about your old job and how you handled things there. That was an interesting one. Sometimes I think we do it subconsciously because your old workplace was where your old friends were, you had bonds there and all that. So stop talking. And if you talk about your old job, make sure it's in a positive light or in a way to help the new job you're in. So settle in. Then the fourth one was build healthy relationship with your colleagues. So this was quite nice for me because there was a time I was stuck somewhere and a colleague helped me. So build healthy relationships. They go a really long way. Then the fifth one was always seek feedback. So learn to seek feedback. I think especially in tech, I'll say for ladies, you find that sometimes you don't want to ask for help because you're worried you look incompetent for the job or something of the sort. So that's something I've experienced. You don't want to look like you don't know. But I like what Wangari has said. There's no shame in asking for help. It doesn't make you less in who you are and all that. So yes, unless I've missed something, Wangari, from your presentation.
No, you haven't. You captured it all.
Okay, so that's a summary of what we've talked about so far. So let us have comments, feedback, maybe even experiences that we can relate to. Feel free to put up your hand. Wow, feedback. Okay, Abigail, go ahead.
Thank you, Wangari, for those wonderful insights. So you've talked about being in the new workplace. So what will you say about when we are applying to get to those new workplaces? What will you advise us to do, or what did you do that you will do better this time now that you are experienced? Yes, that's my question.
Hi, Abigail.
Hi.
That's a, what worked for me is networking. And how I did it was when I was in uni, I attended a lot of events, and then I also applied for a mentorship program called Kamilimo. So I was part of the mentorship program for a year, and that I was in first year actually when I joined Kamilimo. So I was still not ready to start working. But then the people I met at Kamilimo went on to join the industry um, way before me, years before me. So when I was ready to join uh, to start working rather, sorry, I just reached out to them. I reached out to people in different companies and I asked people which companies, if their companies were hiring, if there was any positions, and what they'd recommend. And the mentorship program also helped me know how to tailor my CV, how to prepare for interviews, how to be ready for the workplace actually. So that is also something that I would really recommend. Join programs, go for events, network with people in that field because 5 years from now, you don't know, that's probably the same person who will call and be like, do you still do this? We have a position. So just be well prepared. Don't just do coursework and just leave it like that. There's a lot to be done outside the coursework for preparation. There's a lot to learn. You have to learn how to present yourself. You have to learn how to speak. Public speaking is also very important. And the reason I also take the opportunity to speak, such as today, is so that I can continue practicing my public speaking skills. Because sometimes you can be very good in class, but then and you can be very good in what you're learning in your coursework. Then you go for an interview and you're not able to show them how good you are. You're not able to express yourself and showcase your skills because that not every interview will tell you sit down and talk for us so that we can see that you know how to do this or do this other thing for us, whichever industry it is. It's important that you know how to express yourself and also talk about the things that you know and express them well so that the other person can understand what you mean. So I'll also say that learn public speaking, learn how to talk about your interests in a CV. All those things will really help when it comes to actually finding a job, and even after you get the job, because you don't want to be in a workplace where if you're told to present something, you can't stand in front of a crowd. That is also not a very good picture. So you want to also learn how to build your confidence. And if you're still in school, that's the best time to do it. So uh, do all the presentations in class, attend all these events, present stuff. You can learn that way. I hope that's a good answer.
It is, but now that I'm almost completing, I'm wondering, hey, what have I done with all those years in school? Is it not true?
So Abigail, just to add on what Wangari has said, you can always start now. I think there's always a first step for everyone. It doesn't have to be, there are those who seem to come out as natural speakers. Some of us struggle more. I mean, it's a journey for everyone. So start now. And then by the end of next year, you won't be saying you haven't done something. You'd have started on something. So any other question, feedback? So as we wait for other questions, I'd like to ask, so how do you keep the, how do I put it? I'm looking forward. You see, when you join a new organization, there is the excitement, you're very eager to do, let me say, all the 5 things we've listed. You're very eager to network with people, you're very eager to take up new projects. There's the excitement of a new company, at least on my end, that is what I usually find. Then a few months down the line, you kind of blend into the system. So how do you keep that excitement? How do you remember the goals you had put? How do you set yourself aside to achieve more? Because the whole goal is, even after you've gotten into the company, now scale up in terms of what position you're holding in the company and what you're giving back.
I think what I would recommend, or rather what works for me, because getting into a company and getting used to it, it's not really a bad thing. That at least shows that you're in with the flow and everything with the company. However, it's also recommended that you have, your 1 year plan, your 2 year plan, your 5 year plan, your 10 year plan. And the small tasks you do every day are the ones that are building up to the 1 year, which builds into the 2 year, which builds into the 5 year, right? And as you can get into the flow of things and kind of get a bit comfortable, which is not a bad thing, but as long as you remember what your goals are. And I feel like it's important and maybe a bit very helpful to break down your goals into small chunks. That way, even if you're a bit lax, you're lax while you're in that goal, but you know what the next thing you need to achieve is. For example, if you want to do certifications for a certain, you're trying to get, you have your 5 year goal is to probably be a network admin, or to be whatever you want to be to do in 5 years. If you break it down in every 3 months or every 6 months, I need to have achieved this. Even if in between you become a bit lax, that's okay, as long as by the end of the 6 months you've achieved what you set. And then you'll start the next 6 months with a bit more vigor because you're starting a new goal, right? So it's not that you're just working every day. I'm waking up in the morning, I go to work, I go home. If you have something you're working towards, then I feel like that helps keep you on a bit on your toes.
Thank you. That definitely answers my question. So I'd seen a hand from Oscar Njuguna. Oscar, you on the call?
Yeah, mine was the question of work-life balance, because now you might find work, and the terms of the contract, it might be permanent and pensionable, or it might be a short-term contract. Now there is how you are used to living before going to work, and now that you have found work, so now there is that change in lifestyle that might have an impact on you as a person. So now the question is, how should we also ensure that we remain healthy, and our personal projects don't get too much impacted by a new work opportunity? Thank you.
So that will two things. So prioritization one, but also you have to look at things very realistically, right? Uh, for example, if you work in a place where there's a time, say you're an auditor, maybe like say a financial auditor or something. There's the financial auditors are usually very busy when it's about to be, when it's tax season, just before the end of July. There's a lot of work to be done, especially for tax related stuff. But then the rest of the year is not the same. So you have to assess your workplace and see, is it a workplace where everything is busy every time? Or is it that sometimes we are busy, but then sometimes we are okay? Because the nature of the job can sometimes be the nature of the job. However, you have to prioritize, because number one, your health, your family, yourself, you have to prioritize those things. Even if it's your own business, because if anything unfortunately happens to you, you will be replaced tomorrow. That's the sad truth. So it has to come from you and your priorities so that you can push for that, and accept that if sometimes your workplace is busy, that's okay. But then it can't be all the time. And if you feel like it's not a good fit for you, that the workplace is really making your personal project suffer, then you might have to look for something more fitting to you. But what I'd say is, try find a balance, but don't let either suffer. On the other hand, most people let the work suffer because of their personal project. Don't do either. Find a balance, but then uh, remember, if anything happens to you tomorrow, there will be someone in your seat.
Oscar, was your question answered?
Thank you. That is a good insight about prioritization. Yeah, that is very okay. I'm happy about that. Thank you.
Okay, I'd send a fan from, I think, Maurice Okombo. Maurice, are you on the call? Maurice Okombo, I think that's the name.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, I am. Thank you very much. Now my question to Wangari would be, I know right now we are almost done with the SOC analyst path and all that, but now how do we get outside there? How do I showcase my skills to the employer that I am able to do this, and they can confidently hire me to be part of their SOC team?
Thanks for the question. I think this was also a bit covered by the other question. However, like I said, be able to express yourself, be able to, or whatever you've learned in class, and if you truly learned in class, you should be able to go and tell the interviewer, I know how to do this and I know how to do this. So that if they give you the task, even if they give you the task during the interview, you're able to do it. And most times I find that the interviewer will ask, you know, just not even mostly ask you to do practical things. They might ask you a question, a very leading question, but from the answer they'll know that this person knows what they're talking about. So number one, please know what you're talking about. Don't lie on your CV. Don't lie on your when you're saying I know how to do this thing, because you'll be thrown into your work and you won't be able to do it. So number one is just be very truthful about what you know. If you don't know, just say I'm open to learning. This is how much I know. I'm open to learning. For example, when I was being interviewed for SOC analyst, because my concentration was cybersecurity, but then I'd never worked with a SIM before. So when I was being interviewed, they asked me, do you know how to work with a SIM? And to be honest, I didn't know, and I'd never worked with a SIM before. So I just honestly said, no, I've never worked with a SIM, but from my previous experience working, I'm a very fast learner. I learn how to, I know, I'm good with systems. I can navigate them. So I just need a chance to do this. And they listened to me, and within a month, I was very okay with the SIM. But also the SIM is expensive, so you keep learning. So what you can do is talk about what you're good at. If you're good at learning, if you're good at grasping new things, talk about those. If you don't know how to do a certain thing, don't lie that you can do it. Just say, I don't know how to do it. However, I am a fast learner and I can learn this system. Whatever you need, I can learn. So that works most of the time. Actually, yeah, if they want you, they'll be willing to give you a shot to learn, because you can't know all the systems, but a lot of people learn things on their job. So just tell your strong points and then say you're willing to learn.
Thank you. Then also, I needed a clarification in terms of how should I like specialize in specific tools that I know that I have a strong gain towards them, or should I like know all of them, the ones that I have learned through the course?
I don't think that you can specialize in everything. That is not realistic. However, you can know a bit of the rest, but then there are the ones that you know. So, for example, you can know how to program in Java and how to program in C++, but then you might be very, very good at Python. So if you go to a job where they need someone who is good at Java and they're willing to let you learn, then and you're willing to learn as well, then you can offer to take time and learn Java. But tell them, no, at least I'm good at Python. But then that will show them that if you want to learn a language, you're able to actually learn a programming language and you understand the concepts of programming. So I do not think you need to learn everything. You can't learn everything realistically. So tell your strong points, because if you say I'm good at Python, then what that says without saying is this person grasps fundamentals of programming. So if they want you to learn another language, you can learn. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, so any other questions? As the rest come, just to add on Maurice's question, is there like a peak season where security companies hire? Is there something of the sort where, like, because you're in the field now in a cybersecurity company, is there a peak season where, let's say, there's a lot of hiring that goes on, or it depends from one organization to the other?
It depends on one organization. It depends on organizations rather, and their needs, because you really can't tell when they will need someone, because they might be hiring because they need to expand. They might be expanding because they've got more clients, and they could be getting more clients because they've been doing more marketing. It's very subjective and it's very farm to farm. However, I would say if you're trying to look for, say, an internship like I did, because mine started with the internship for, I was trying to get an internship to fulfill my degree. Just start early. Don't start if you need to start, say, by January. Don't start looking now, because it's, and this is not just cybersecurity, this is just any work. If you're trying to find work, don't wait until the last minute. Be like, oh, next year by March, I want to have a job. Don't start looking in January, because the what is called, the tarmaking can be a bit disheartening, and sometimes it takes long because this is not something that's within your control. It's being decided by people who don't know you, who do not really care about you, if I could put it like that. They are focused on their business. If they need you for their business, they'll find you. But then just plan early, have something to do in between. If you can find places to volunteer, do that. So something like Cyber Shujaa, I know when I was in uni, in USIU, that's when it was starting, and I preferred to apply for a job for my internship. But then some of my classmates applied for Cyber Shujaa, and they did it as sort of the internship. And this is why you open your mind and find other things. You don't have to start off in a company. You can start off as you guys did. And you see now, if you go to a workplace and tell them, I did Cyber Shujaa, and these are the skills that I learned in this program, you're in a much better place than someone who just came out of uni with just the classwork, right? So open your mind, look for other avenues to learn, pick all the learning opportunities, pick all the practice opportunities, shadow your lecturers, sumbua your lecturers. The lecturers usually know where all the good opportunities are. They can suggest something, but then again, that also only works if you are good to them in class. So also just, you have to just be to excel in every step. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Those who maybe don't want to speak through their mic, feel free to use the chat here or the WhatsApp group. So I got a question on my chat. Someone is asking if how you deal with imposter syndrome when starting a new workplace. Yeah.
That's a good question. The thing with imposter syndrome, I've come to find out, is that it's not really ever ending, right? Because I'll be a stock analyst and I'll have imposter syndrome, feeling like, oh my god, maybe I do not belong here, and maybe in the future I'll be head of something and I'll probably still feel like that position is, it's a very intrinsic thing. And for me personally, I don't know if this is something I can recommend, but how I work with it is I let it sit next to me and I acknowledge that yes, it's there. I'm feeling like an imposter. Maybe I'm not good enough to belong in Seriano. I give it a sit next to me and then I do the work. Like, it's okay, fine, I'm feeling like this, but let me just do my job. Let me do my job to the best of my ability. That's the best I can. That's all I can do. There's nothing else I can do, and there's no way to get rid of this. I've not been able to get rid of it. So what I do is I let it stay there. I remember it's there, but then I do my job and I try to do it to the best of my ability, in spite of the imposter syndrome. Because I find that I have so much, I spend so much time trying to fight it, and for what reason it doesn't seem to be going away. So you see, I'll be asked to give a talk to you guys, and I'll be thinking, am I in such a position to advise people about working? You know, but then I give it a sit next to me, and I come and talk to you guys, and do it again tomorrow. So if you're not able to fight it, don't give it so much of your energy. It doesn't deserve it. Do your best, then the rest is up to the universe.
Thank you. That's an amazing whatever. That question got me thinking of, let's say, our president, how you said imposter syndrome is ever ending. I'm thinking when he goes and sits down with, like, let's say, other presidents from other countries, does he get imposter syndrome too? Yeah, so imposter syndrome is something everyone deals with. I think personally, what I've come to see is I find I know the triggers when it's really, really loud in my head is when I'm, let's say, in sit downs where I haven't done my research well, or where I really don't understand what people are talking about. So that then it gets really loud in my head because I don't understand what the discussions are about. So another way to get ahead of it, or maybe let it not take too much of your space, is prepare for your meetings, prepare for whatever projects you're doing at work. Make sure you, what do we call it, do like more of a reconnaissance and have your facts right. So that's then when you're having imposter syndrome, even when you're asking what they're talking about, you have a basis. You're not being taught from scratch. That really helps. So before we
Yeah,
close
that
this,
really helps.
yeah. So before we close the session, any other questions, comments? We don't want to leave anyone out. Feel free also to use the chat. Okay, I'll assume no hands means we are all good. All questions have been answered. Okay. So, Wangari, are you still on the call? Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So, thank you so much for the session. This was quite insightful. When I first saw the topic, navigating a new workspace, I was like, is there so much into it? But then the slides, what you've shared is a lot, quite insightful, very out of the box in what I was thinking. So thank you so much for the session. Thank you for your tips on navigating a new workplace. Thank you for answering the questions. It's been quite a relevant talk, and I hope we've all come out with something. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you for having me. I'm really honored that you guys listened to me the whole time, and all 66 of you stayed on the call. That's really nice. I want to wish you all the best in the workplace. You're going to do well. If by you already being on this call at this time of the day, while you could have just already closed the day and gone to do your own things, shows that you're willing to put in the work to be ready for the workplace. So I want to wish you all the best as you join the workforce. We will be here. Um, my email is wangaremacharia@gmail.com, Wangare with a Y. If you need to ask any questions about SOC, about cybersec, about the industry, about work experience, feel free to reach out. I'll make sure I answer. But don't be very scared. It's not so scary. It's just scary in your head. But like someone says, no one is thinking about you. It's you thinking that they're thinking about you, but no one is really you. Just go out there and do your thing. If you do your best, you're gonna excel. That's it. There's no shortcut. I know it feels, especially with our political environment, as if shortcuts do, but for ground is you do your best, it will show. So all the best in your future endeavors. It was nice talking to you.
Thank you so much, Wangari. Thank you, everyone, for staying on the call. Hoping to see you next Thursday. And like Wangari has said, it's all in your head. You're your worst enemy at most times, and it's not as hard as it looks. So thank you and have a good night. Good night. Yeah, have a good night and see you next Thursday. Bye.